This is Mike Finnerty of the Sure West Sports Show, and the following clip has been brought to you by the Sure West Sports Show, airing on SureWestSports.com. Well, I'm with our 2010-2011 Coach of the Year in Boys Athletics, Kris Richardson of the Folsom High Bulldogs football team. And Kris, congratulations. I know you've had a lot of hardware to collect this year.
It's been fun.
And this just one of many. Congratulations. And the first thing I have to ask is, what are sort of your memories you look back on this year? I know there's a lot. What's the first thing that jumps out of you?
You know, the feeling, I'm very excited that we won the state game, but that game at Sac State, beating Grant in front of 20,000 fans and not knowing what was going to happen after that, but we knew that was the ultimate goal, is to get back to the section championship and play Grant, and that was just an amazing experience.
And of course, many people know that you lost that opener. It was on national TV. And what was, just kind of going back, what was it like for the team after that game? Because I talked to you, and you still felt very confident. Say, hey, that's just first game, and we'll see them again. Yeah,
well, once we broke the film down, I think the guys knew that we didn't play very well. And there was no quit in us at all. It was, what do we got to do to get things fixed? And we set that plan in motion. I've said it many times, of one game at a time with the ultimate goal, because we knew Grant was going to take care of business. There was no doubt in anyone's mind that they were capable of getting the section championship. And again, the guys just went back to work. It actually, it's one of those games as a coach you look back on, that was the game that snapped everyone back into let's get to work, and day in, day out. And there was always that thing, if we had a sluggish day or whatever, that was always the conversation. Remember the Grant game, because what we're trying to do is get to that section championship and redeem ourselves. And it was a great experience getting there.
Did you think how you reacted with the guys after that first game would set a tone for the rest of the season? If there was too much panic, they might read into that. Was it how you addressed the team then important?
Yeah, I think so. There was no panic, and we immediately, started talking as coaches. There was no panic. We saw it and had conversations throughout the game as things weren't going our way. So close here, almost there, missed a read, whatever it was, and there was no panic. We knew that if we got back to work and fixed the little things we were making mistakes on, that we would have a chance to continue to win. And man, we hit that week 9, 10, 11 after beating Pleasant Grove, and we just caught fire. And it was I talk to Joe Davidson all the time. I think that's one of the greatest playoff runs in section history. So, it was a great experience.
Yeah, it was a mauling really throughout. Let's kind of talk about both sides of the ball. Defensively, I think you allowed 22, 23 points per game the year before. That dropped to roughly 15 or 16 this year.
Yeah.
Max Miller's the addition of that staff. Let's talk about the defensive side, because we all know about the offense, which we'll get to here in a minute. Talk about that group.
Well, again, bringing Max on to an already what I felt great coaching staff was, and he just gave us that leadership. When we talked after the previous season, I wanted to add a veteran coach, and Max popped up, and we plugged him right in, and got along great with the coaching staff. And again, defensively, we had so many returning juniors. No one forgets about that we were pretty good on defense, the year before, but we were young. We had, I think, out of our 11 starters, 9 were juniors. So they all came back another year, bigger, stronger, faster, smarter. And, when you got a great leader like Max who can game plan, and he's retired, so he'd get the game tape, and he would just spend all day watching tape, finding tendencies. And, man, it was a great formula for success on the defensive side of the ball.
And in talking to you throughout the year, you mentioned that Max, he kind of had a good vibe in the locker room. He had some stories, some jokes. He kind of lightened it up for the guys, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, I think that's part of being a good coach, and my philosophy as a head coach is I want guys to enjoy coming to practice. I mean, we work, there's no doubt. But, I'm not a guy that's going to just push without having some fun while they're out there. Because to me, if it's like that, sometimes you lose kids, especially in today's football game, And Max understands that. He knows when it's time to pull them up and crack a joke, and he also knows when it's time to get after somebody, And I think our entire coaching staff did that very well. And it was like you said, a great formula for success.
Well, talking about success, that offense it obviously stood out. 52, 51 points a game, something like that. And it never even stopped in the playoffs. He just continued to score points. And, Dano Graves, Tyler Trosine, Jordan Richards. I mean, the names go on. Yep. Let's talk about this group and how special they were.
Well, again, it's hard to put into words how great these guys were. I mean, I've been talking, and everyone's talking about the next season, and what are you going to miss? Well, 6 Division I scholarship guys, and really 7, because Corey Babineau had some offers, but has decided to go back to basketball. So, there was guys we had, and we're senior dominated. I think. One of the key pieces that people forget about is our offensive line, I had three seniors and 2 juniors, and, we weren't the biggest, we weren't the fastest, but, we were pretty darn good up front, and it starts there. I mean, Steven Sipple is the best center around, and you put that with senior leadership of Tucker Carney, Kenny Engstrom, and then the 2 big body guards of Travis Walker and Jordan Oliva. I mean, we were pretty stout up front and did some great things, when you're facing Grant and Buhawk Colony and Sarah with all these Division I scholarship defensive linemen. It started there. And then you plug in, obviously the stars of Dano Graves, Jordan Richards, Corey, Tyler Trosine, Marcus Hendricks, and then again, young Carson McMurtry. We were pretty good on offense. And the couple things that really stood out is these guys really understood what we were trying to do. That's one thing we do. We take pretty good amount of time of explaining what the concepts are. This is why linemen you're going to block like this, because this is what we want to have happen. And we got a bunch of guys that really buy into learning everything they need to know about the whole offense, not just what they do. And when you got 11 guys that want to buy into that, and then you stay healthy, and then you dangle that carrot out there of the section game and the possible state game, those guys busted their butt, and it was one of the greatest offenses this section's ever seen.
Oh, it is, and as for yourself, you played offensive line in college, so you know the importance of that. And looking back on the year, and I asked Dano this: is there any one moment that stands out for you? Anything along, whether it's the Grant game, the state championship game, even if it's not on the field, maybe an off the field thing?
It was just a great experience. I mean, I've coached football here at Folsom High for 16 years, and man, once we got in that midseason run and things were clicking, and we just kept getting better and better. Again, I think obviously the halftime of the Vacaville game when it was 75-0, and everyone with their eyes open going, how did we do that? And it was, go back, and it's great expectations and great execution. But again, it'll still, for me, probably the 2 biggest moments, when in that state game, when Dano squirted out of the pile with his fist pumping in the air to finish that section game, that was a major moment. And then that state game, same thing. When we had that, I think it was 27 seconds explosion of 21 points, and before we knew it, the game was out of control for Sarah and completely in our control. That was a pretty special feeling.
It just completely flipped, really.
Yeah.
It was fun to see, and doing on that turf and in that weather, fantastic. And I think maybe teams thought that Folsom might be a turf fast team, and you proved that you could play on both types of fields.
Yeah, I mean that's I pride that with what we do. I mean, I think everyone thinks, oh, we have field turf, so we don't know how to play on grass. Rain, you're passing offense, it rains, so weather's an issue for you. You know what, we practice, in weather, we go out in the grass when we need to. If you got a good football team, it doesn't matter where you're playing. And that was my biggest point. When people kept bringing up the weather, it's like we were playing in bad weather too. And I had a couple times where I heard the Sarah coaches and players saying, "Wow, we wish we were playing on a dry field." Well, so do we. Because we're pretty good when it's dry, and we can score points in any weather. So it would have been fun to do too.
I don't think that's something they would have really wanted.
You
were a senior-heavy team, but I think the point is also you could be a senior-heavy team, you could have a really talented team, but you still have to execute and get it done. And some teams end up not doing that. Your team did in a big way, state champs. So, Kris, congratulations, our Coach of the Year and boys athletics, Kris Richardson, Folsom Bulldogs football team. Again, congratulations, tremendous year.
Great, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it.